Moore's family member sells their home in the Villages. 93-year-old overturns her vehicle at the gate entrance. Villager arrested while naked will seek a public defender. Softball evaluations resumes Tuesday at Buffalo Glen. Villager sues Publix, claiming employee hit her with a U-boat cart. Another DUI at Lake Sumter Landing. Aldi's is going to close all the Winn-Dixie pharmacies. An 89-year-old is seriously injured in another golf cart crash. Cat fight at the Village's McDonald's. The villager that's fighting for his little white cross is now running for the seat of the board that is suing him. Wildwood magistrate approves more development. A villager accused of repeatedly chugging booze inside Publix. A resident sues the villager claiming she was pushed down the stairs during the tree lighting ceremony. Three Dog Night books a return performance in the Villages. The court can't find a 20-year-old Airbnb-er arrested in the Villages. A witness tells a suspect who allegedly struck an elderly woman near Colony Cottage. Residents will no longer need ARC approval to remove trees from their property. A Moore's family member avoids criminal charges with plea agreement. Villagers win big at the Florida Senior Softball Championships. This and more coming up. A member of the Moore family sold her home at the family's compound for $2.45 million after it was listed for sale earlier this spring. Whitney Morse, the daughter of Mark Moore, sold her home at 260 Oak Hammock Path for $2.45 million on August 25th, according to the Sumter County property records. The home was co-owned by her husband. According to the online listing, the 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home is currently under contract but is accepting backup offers. The 3,716 square foot single-story home is located on a 10-acre lot just north of County Road 466. It was built in 2022. Morris works as the artistic director of the Sharon L. Morris Performing Arts Center and his sister space, the Studio Theater in Tierra del Sol. In addition to a large gourmet kitchen and ample counter space, Scandinavian-style wall-to-wall wood cabinets, and a walk-in pantry, a massive great room and vaulted ceilings provide an ample space that is filled with natural light. A 93-year-old villager was hospitalized after overturning her vehicle at an entrance gate. The Village of Dunedin woman was driving a red 2019 Toyota Avalon at 2:55 p.m. Saturday when she failed to slow down for a 2016 Lincoln MKC, which was stopped westbound on Pinellas Place at the Village of Sanibel Gate, according to the accident report from the Highway Patrol. The 93-year-old attempted to take evasive action but lost control of the vehicle, causing it to hit the curb. She drove onto the grass and hit a sign as well as a light pole before overturning. During an attempt to return to the roadway, she also hit the Lincoln MKC, which had been stopped at the gate. The vehicle was driven by a 74-year-old female resident of the Villages. She was not injured. The 93-year-old was transported by ambulance to Ocala Regional Medical Center. She was also ticketed on a charge of careless driving. Her vehicle was towed from the scene. A villager who was naked from the waist down when she was arrested on a drunk driving charge will rely on a public defender's office for representation. Janice Jackson Tate, 68, was driving a white 2006 Toyota Solara at about 6:30 p.m. August 19th when she ran into the curb near the Manatee Recreation Center. An arraignment in the Sumter County Court is set for October 11th. In the Sumter County Court, a document filed in court indicates she is seeking the representation of the public defender's office and that she has no income. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you have a problem with this? I see this more and more down here. I think everybody knows that the Villages is not the cheapest place in the world to live, especially in a retirement community. It's just not. I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's not. And they live in what I'm going to guess is probably a $500,000 house. Her and her husband both. How can you live in a $500,000 house and depend on the taxpayers to pay for your lawyer? You guys got a problem with that? I do. Softball evaluations for the fall 2023 season will resume at 8 a.m. Tuesday at Buffalo Glen Softball Complex, weather permitting. No pre-registration is required. Bring a glove and your Village's ID card. Participants are encouraged to arrive 15 minutes prior to the start time. If you have any questions or need additional information, contact Saddlebrook Recreation Center at 352 259 5377. Softball here, like pickleball and golf, is big. A villager has filed a lawsuit against local Publix for more than $50,000 claims an employee negligently hit her with a U-boat cart as she stopped to inspect a candle. I'm not even sure what a U-boat cart is. This is how much shopping I do. The lawsuit was filed in the 5th Judicial Circuit Court of Sumter County on August 23rd by attorneys representing Diane Reardon, who lives in the village of Monarch Grove. According to Reardon's attorneys, Orlando-based Delaker, Wilson, King, McKenna, Ruffier, and SOS LLP, Reardon was visiting the Publix supermarket at Magnolia Plaza on August 2nd, 2022. Reardon's attorney alleged that while she was walking in an aisle where the candles are located, she stopped to inspect the candles, and suddenly and without warning, she was hit by a U-boat, which was operated by a Publix employee, according to the lawsuit. After she was struck by the cart, Reardon claimed she experienced a sharp pain in her left ankle and was knocked to the floor. According to the complaint, glass became embedded in Reardon's hands and arms, and she experienced pain in her right hip, shoulders, chest, back, arms, neck, and head. Reardon's attorneys argue that the Publix employee failed to operate the U-boat in a safe manner and created a dangerous and hazardous situation to the public. They say the foregoing negligence led to the client suffering serious bodily injury and pain and suffering, among other claims. Reardon is seeking damages that exceed the sum of $50,000 exclusive of interest and costs. I'll try to keep you updated on that as much as I can. A villager was jailed on a drunk driving charge after running a stop sign at Lake Sumter Landing. William Edward Whittle, 71, of the village of Santo Domingo, was driving a white Ford Fusion at about 8 p.m. Sunday when he failed to come to a complete stop at Fish Camp Road and Lakeshore Drive, near the entrance of Lakeshore Cottages, according to the arrest report. A deputy followed Whittle's vehicle on County Road 466 of Morris Boulevard, where the traffic stop was initiated. Deputies suspected Whittle had been drinking and noticed that the Massachusetts native walked with a slight sway. Whittle attributed it to a hip injury on his right side. He struggled through field sobriety exercise and eventually announced he had gone as far as he could. The deputy wrote that in his reports. A breath test was administered at 10:52 p.m. The samples provided by Whittle registered a .076 and a .073, slightly lower than a .08 legal threshold. It should be noted the time duration from point to stop to when the first breath sample was given was over 2 hours, the deputy noted in the report. Whittle was arrested on charge of driving under the influence and issued a written warning for failing to come to a complete stop. He was booked at the Suffolk County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. I kind of have a problem with that. The law's the law, right? .08 is illegal. Anything less than that technically is legal, right? You might say it played a part, but I'm not sure that this is correct. I think in a court of law, this is going to get thrown out. Winn-Dixie will be closing its in-store pharmacies in the wake of the acquisition announced last month of the grocery stores will be acquired by Aldi. Winn-Dixie pharmacy customers will receive a notice before their prescriptions are transferred to another location by the end of the year. Prior to the closing of the proposed merger agreements recently announced, Southeastern Grocers has entered into agreements to transfer prescription files to certain CVS pharmacies and Walgreens. We are working closely with CVS Pharmacy and Walgreens to ensure that our customer prescriptions are handled carefully and confidently and that there won't be any delay in service. Winn-Dixie stores will continue to operate independently until the Aldi transaction closes in the first half of 2024. The Aldi purchase includes the Winn-Dixie supermarkets at La Plaza Grande, Lake Sumter Landing, Pinellas Plaza in the villages. Aldi has stores in Lady Lake, Trailwinds Village, and Wildwood and Oxford. Right away, I'll tell you what, Aldi's, I don't shop, but Aldi's losing me as a customer forever. They also, what they didn't announce there was any of the liquor stores that was adjacent to Winn-Dixie that Winn-Dixie owned. And I've been to this one over at Pinellas. I like it. It's easy in, easy out. They closed all them too. An 89-year-old villager was seriously injured Tuesday morning in a golf cart crash. The man was driving the golf cart at 7:50 a.m. along a golf cart path adjacent to Woodridge Drive in the village of Summerhill, and while negotiating a curve near Davenport Drive, he turned left into the path of a red four-door Hyundai driven by 69-year-old lady Lakeman, according to the accident report from the Florida Highway Patrol. While making the left turn, the golf cart struck the side of the car. The man driving the golf cart had not been wearing a seatbelt. Now, before anybody says anything, it might be a smart thing to do to wear a seatbelt in the golf cart. The law in Florida does not require it like it does in a car. So they keep bringing this up because I suspect that there's an agenda here about making a law requiring golf carts to have seatbelts. The man driving the car was not injured, and neither was his passenger, a 69-year-old woman from Lady Lake. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office and the village's Public Safety Department also responded to the scene of the crash. A girl fight at the McDonald's restaurant in the village has led to the arrest of a female suspect at the local Waffle House. I wouldn't call the Waffle House local. This is a village's news thing here. There's no Waffle House as far as I know inside the villages. The only Waffle House that I can think of off the top of my head is way on the other side of Wildwood. It's actually Wildwood limits, I guess, but it's up by Interstate 75. The altercation took place August the 27th at the fast food restaurant at Buffalo Ridge Plaza. The woman said she was picking up a co-worker when she and 34-year-old Laura Ashley Sims got into a verbal altercation inside the restaurant. The woman went outside to her vehicle where Sims, who stands 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 220 pounds, pinned her against the car. Sims fled the scene, but was arrested the following day at the Waffle House restaurant in Wildwood. The New York native was taken into custody on a charge of battery and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. She was released after posting a $1,000 bond. Sims had been arrested this past October on a charge of battery after a fight with her man friend at their home at the Lake Sumter Apartments on County Road 466 and Cherry Lake Road. However, she entered into a pretrial intervention program in which she agreed to enroll in a batterer's intervention program in a bid to escape prosecution. A villager fighting to save his little white cross has filed paperwork indicating he will run for a seat on the board that is suing him. Wayne Anderson of the village of Tamarind Grove has pre-filed to run for seat 1 on the Community Development District 8 Board of Supervisors. Anderson is being sued by the CD8 board after his refusal to remove a little white cross from his front yard. The CD8 board continues to insist the white cross is a lawn ornament and therefore forbidden to be placed in his lawn. Anderson has stubbornly refused to remove the little white cross and has waged a protracted legal battle against the CD8 board. All the while, thousands of dollars in fines has been piling up against Anderson. The Wisconsin native insists that he is the target of a selective enforcement. He was turned in by an anonymous complainer who overlooked all of the white crosses in the neighboring lawns. Prior to McGovern's appointment, seat 1 was held for many years by Village of Buttonwood resident Dennis Hayes, who died earlier this year. Bringing the project closer to construction, a site plan for a large-scale residential project on County Road 472 near Lakeside Landings was recommended for approval Tuesday at a meeting of the Wildwood Planning and Zoning Board. Special Magistrate Lindsay C.T. Holt recommended that the City Commission approve the site plan for the Keys at Wildwood 2, one of 2 residential projects by the same developer. The project is planned on nearly 40 acres along County Road 472 at County Road 117 east of US 301. It would include 302 cottages, townhouses, and duplexes, along with a 1,456 square foot fitness center, 636 square foot pool house with pool area, and 1,456 square foot clubhouse building, and 585 square foot maintenance buildings, 587 parking spaces, and small park areas. Many of the 220 buildings would have 2 stories, according to the site plan. The developer is Belair Development, Mize Capital, and the land is owned by Sundown Land of the Villages. See, the developer has many small LLC companies. Makes me wonder if he's not in cahoots with this whole thing. In June, Blue Vista Capital Management, a Chicago investment firm, announced its acquisition of a related project. The keys of Wildwood 1, west of US 301, near County Road 203, and north of Oxford Assembly of God. That project, which received planning and zoning approval last fall, would have 190 duplex single-story rental units, 190 duplex single-story rental units on 19 acres. It is the sixth build-to-rent community Blue Vista has acquired or developed since 2020. A villager has been charged with repeatedly chugging booze inside a Publix grocery store. Emily Rachel McPherson, 35, who lives at 4566 Tuscaloosa Path in the village of Osceola Hills, is facing multiple charges of theft after allegedly paying several visits to Publix at a nearby Lake Deaton Plaza and chugging liquor without paying for it. What can I tell you? The Wisconsin native was caught on surveillance visiting the store, drinking liquor, and returning the empty liquor bottle or package to the store's shelf, according to the arrest report of Sumter County Sheriff's Office. She returned at about 8:30 p.m. the following day. She walked to an aisle without cameras. She emptied the packages later found by the store employees. The beverages had a total value of $22.48. She returned several more times in August and repeated the same tactic, depriving the store of the value of the liquor. McPherson remains free on a $3,000 bond. How old was she? 35 years old. A member of the Morris family who was arrested in July for driving with a suspended license and expired registration avoided a possible year in prison after getting his criminal charges reduced to civil charges through a plea agreement. Hudson Morspar, 29, and his attorney, Jamie Carlin Washoe Spivey, filed a plea of absentia in Sumter County Court on August 31st, just over 7 weeks after Parr was arrested for driving with a suspended license and expired registration on July the 11th. According to the plea agreement, Parr's first charge for driving with a suspended license was reduced to driving with a suspended license without knowledge, which changed it from a criminal charge to a civil charge. By pleading guilty to a reduced charge, Parr was only responsible for a $236 fine and a $25 hearing fee. He had faced a year in prison when the charge was criminal. Softball champions were held in Leesburg over Labor Day weekend. At least 7 teams from the villages were awarded gold or silver medals for their performance at the 2023 Florida Senior Games Softball Championships on Saturday, September the 2nd. Matches were held at the Sleepy Hollow Sports Complex, which is located at 277 5 Hollow Lane in Leesburg. Participants played multiple games in their age brackets, which ranged from 50 to over 75 years of age and over for both men and women. In the women's 50-plus category, the Golden players from Lady Lake took home the silver medal. The Golden players from the villages took home first place in both the 60-plus and 75-plus categories. Congratulations, everybody, for playing a great game. All of you. Good job. As you see, softball here, and everywhere else around here for that matter, it's a big deal. Community Development District 2 supervisors have refused to grandfather in patio villas with stone landscaping whose owners have been ordered to put down sod. CDD2 Supervisor Tim Sweers on Friday made a motion to grandfather in 8 homes, La Crescenta Villas, whose owners unknowingly bought their homes with the stone landscaping already in place. On June 23rd, in a special public hearing at Savannah Center, the homeowners were given 90 days to remove their stone landscaping and replace it with sod. In making his motion for grandfathering, Sweers noted that in 2015, the rule banning stone landscaping at patio villas was mysteriously put into place. The 8 homes in La Crescenta Villas had already had the stone landscaping in place in 2015. The rule changed in 2015 was largely unnoticed. The 8 homeowners in La Crescenta Villas were among a larger group of patio villa owners turned in by an anonymous complaint. Sweer's motion, cheered by 8 out of compliance homeowners in the La Crescenta Villas, was immediately rejected by his fellow supervisors. His motion died for lack of a second. Chairman Bart Zollner feared that grandfathering would be a slippery slope. More and more patio villa owners with stone could start coming forward. I would never vote to grandfather them in unless we grandfather everybody in, said Supervisor Jim Conte. You just want to grandfather in these 8 people? Other supervisors said it is important to be consistent and enforce the rules. What do you tell the other 99.9% of people who follow the rules? The rule is you can't have stone in patio villas. Supervisor Jim Cipollone said, the stone was there for 20 years and has never been a problem until a stupid anonymous complainer came along, Mang said. Homeowners will start being fined $50 a day on September 23rd, and the fines will continue until the stones is removed and replaced with sod. You can't play dumb to this. So I tell the people that's coming here, I'm here to tell you if you're coming here and you're new, I'm trying to help you. Make sure your home is within deed compliance. Go to the webpage that I showed you here a few weeks ago, how to get to your, if you're buying a home in whatever district you're looking in, go see what the deed restrictions are for that community. A big crowd showed up Friday to protest a 25% hike in the maintenance assessment in Community Development District 4. Extra chairs had to be brought in to accommodate the large group of residents who attended the board meeting at Savannah Center to express their unhappiness at the prospect of a 25% increase. Supervisor Mark Hayes wanted to know where residents had been in the previous months when the board had been working on the budget. He asked for the show of hands of the people who had attended the meetings in which the budget had been discussed. Very few hands went up. He also reminded the crowd that in the past several years, CDD4 has been hit by some costly problems, including sinkholes in the village of Calumet Grove, under drain repairs in Sawyer Villas, and hurricane cleanup, and was not reimbursed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. CDD4 is also looking at more than $800,000 in road repairs. CDD4, which is located in Marion County, is in a unique position of paying for the maintenance of its roads. Hayes also showed a sobering chart forecasting that CDD4 will see a budget shortfall within a few years if a maintenance assessment was not approved. Hayes said the increase will personally cost him $154 a year. CDD4 Chairman Cliff Weiner said the budget process is difficult. You have no idea how much we agonize over the budget, Weiner said. The $4.5 million budget was approved on 4-1 vote. Weiner cast a lone vote against the measure. He said he was against the 25%. I understand why people's upset. Everything in America right now since COVID astronomically went up. I know our houses went up, but if you have a house, you're thinking, well, what's the big deal? I just got more money in my pocket because I got this house. Not really. You're not going anywhere. So I don't care if the house is worth $1 million. You're not going anywhere. But when the day comes you sell it, you will get that money. But what about the people that's wanting to buy? They're getting priced out here. And then if they do get here, every time you turn around, and I'm getting a little fed up with it myself, every time you turn around, everybody's got their hand out around here anymore because of all this building going on. More property taxes, which went up like 25% a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. And I know there's been some adjustments there, but still, they did that. Assessment fees goes up. Maintenance fees goes up. What else was it? The fire assessment fees, they wanted to go up, which I think they voted that down. But now they're saying there's going to be a $1 million shortfall on the fire assessment. I don't know what they're going to do about that. They're going to get their money somehow, some way. They will get that money. You know, I keep thinking I came down here basically because of the weather and because Florida has no state income tax, but they sure do make up for that state income tax in one of 10 different ways. Then on top of that, we have hospitals here with a 1-star rating, and that is starting to bother me. Here's a story about the people complaining about the money it costs to plant the flowers. They bought here because how pretty everything is, but now they want to dirty it up a little bit by saying, don't plant so many flowers. Resident Paula Howard questioned money spent on flowers as the Community Development District 2 Board of Supervisors voted unanimously Friday to raise the maintenance assessment by 10%. The Village of Alhambra resident criticized the board and challenged supervisors to sharpen their pencils when it comes to budgeting. 10% may not seem like much, but everything is going up and it all adds up. She is correct. Everything seems like everything from groceries to I don't even know what. This gas just keeps going up. She chastised the board members and accused them of not looking out for the best interests of the residents. You could point that finger one of 100 different ways. I'm not happy about the increase this time public officials started handling the budget as if it were their own money. If I have an increase in one area, I find ways to cut in other areas, Howard said. She pointed to the flowers planted in common areas of CDD2. Planting perennials would save a lot of money. You know, it does. You know, I'll agree with you, it does, but it's not near as pretty. Who said she is a gardener? The village does a lot of things that waste money. Despite Howard's plea, the board voted unanimously to approve the $1.379 million budget. I'm trying to read these in order. Now, there's one there that doesn't want flowers. She wants them somehow cut back. Don't plant so many flowers, or don't plant them as often. Now, here's the other end of that spectrum. Residents in the village of Tierra del Sol North are feeling neglected due to the lack of flowers at their entrance. The sign is located on what is believed to be developer-owned property at the home of the Tierra del Sol Championship Golf Course and the Studio Theater at Tierra del Sol. Community Development District 1 Board of Supervisors Chairman Rocky Hyder said at Friday's meeting that the residents of Tierra del Sol North have approached him about the lack of flowers at the entrance. They want flowers like every other entrance in the community, Hyder said. We are talking about a fairly minimal expense. One says a little bit of savings is good. This one says a little bit of spending to help pretty up our entrance is better. I kind of feel sorry for the supervisors. No matter what they do, they cannot win. Residents will no longer need Architectural Review Committee approval to remove trees from their property. Supervisors in Community Development District in the villages are relaxing the ARC requirement for tree removal as it has become unnecessary. In 2019, legislators approved a Governor Ron DeSantis push to allow homeowners to remove trees from their property without having to receive the blessing of local government. The state of Florida has made it very easy to remove trees. All a homeowner has to do is get the arborist report. Deputy District Manager Carrie Duckett said going to the ARC is really a moot point. So I guess what they're saying is you can only remove sickly trees? Why would I need an arborist report? I don't know. Some officials are mourning the fact that so many homeowners are cutting down trees. Now there's one less hurdle for them to clear before tree removal. I have seen people buy a house and then cut the trees down. It bothers me to no end to see these beautiful, mature trees cut down, said Community Development District 1 Supervisor Kathy Porter. When the change goes through after public hearings, the following trees will no longer receive ARC approval for removal: oaks, magnolia, elm, maple, and holly. Residents have always been allowed to remove palm trees without approval because palm trees are considered to be a grass. However, villagers living in the Lady Lake portion of Florida's friendliest hometown have been required to receive permission to cut down palm trees. Always check. I got to tell you, though, I see both sides of the spectrum. I love the Spanish oaks. We all do, right? They look great, but not in my front yard. I had a house with that in my front yard. It is the messiest, dirtiest, trashiest tree you'll ever have in your yard. A Village of Belvedere man was arrested on a drunk driving charge after a golf cart crash at Southern Trace Plaza. Aaron Michael Chase, 45, who lives at 715 Evelyn Loop, was driving a black 2016 Yamaha two-seater at about 6 p.m. Thursday when he lost control of the vehicle. It jumped a curb and collided with a white Ford Ranger pickup at Wedgwood Lane and Fieldcrest Drive, according to the arrest report. It appeared that the Delaware native had been drinking. He had a vape pen, which contained a brown oil substance, which tested positive to THC. He also had in his possession a jar of All Smokies moonshine, as well as a CBD pen and a CBD cigarette. This guy was lit. He's got a quart jar of moonshine. And then good Lord. Chase performed poorly in field sobriety exercises. He provided breath samples that measured 0.163, 0.167 blood alcohol content. He was arrested on charges of driving under the influence, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of marijuana. He was also ticketed on charges of careless driving. He was booked at Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $4,000 bond. A resident of the village of DeSoto has sued the villages and alleges that she was severely injured after she was intentionally pushed while ascending stairs during a tree lighting ceremony at Lake Sumter Landing. Nancy Beguerin and her husband, Armand, filed the lawsuit in the Circuit Court of the 5th Judicial Circuit for Sumter County earlier this year against multiple organizations that represent the villages, including the Villages Operating Company, the Villages of Lake Sumter Incorporated. According to the complaint on November 27, 2021, the Bergens were attending a tree lighting event at Lake Sumter Landing. While at the event, Bergeron allegedly approached a set of stairs to go to her seat, and while she was ascending the stairs, she was intentionally grabbed and or pushed from behind by an unknown person, according to the complaint. Bergeron allegedly fell down the stairs, resulting in severe injuries. The complaint accuses each defendant of one count of negligence. In addition to the 4 counts of negligence, the complaint also includes a claim by Mr. Bergeron of loss of consortium, stating that he has suffered and will continue to suffer in the future from loss of affection and conjugal fellowship. Three Dog Night has booked a return performance in the Villages. The legendary band, which performed last year in Florida's friendliest hometown, will perform at 7 p.m. Saturday, December 2nd at the Sharon L. Morris Performing Arts Center. Three Dog Night, now in its 5th decade, claims some of the most astonishing statistics in popular music. In the years 1969 through 1974, no other group achieved more top 10 hits, moved more records, or sold more concert tickets than Three Dog Night. Mama told me not to come. Three Dog Night hits weave through the fabric of pop culture today, whether on the radio, where they are heard day in and day out in the Villages commercials or in major motion pictures. Mama Told Me Not to Come, Joy to the World, Black and White, Shambhala, and One serve to heighten our emotions and crystallize Three Dog Night's continuing popularity. Its records continue to sell around the world, reaching beyond the borders of the United States into Japan, Canada, Holland, England, Germany, Spain, and elsewhere. Tens of millions of Three Dog Night records have been sold through the years. Tickets can be purchased at getoffthebusconcert.com or thesharon.com or 352-753-3229. I had a few of their 8-track tapes. Oh, did I say that? 8-track tapes? A 20-year-old arrested at an Airbnb in the Villages apparently can't be located by the court officials. Murphy Robert Glenn Palmer was arrested June 12th after a woman told Sumter County Sheriff's deputies that she had been abused by Palmer at an Airbnb rental at 2110 Estevez Drive in the Villa Vera Cruz in the village of Santo Domingo. He posted a $5,000 bond and was released from the Sumter County Detention Center. Palm had been ordered to be present at a mandatory status conference hearing August 29th in Sumter County Court. The judge specifically ordered that the appearance could not be waived and Palmer could not send a lawyer and skip the hearing. He did not show up. There'll be a warrant out for his arrest. Next time he gets pulled over by a cop for running a red light or something, that's when they'll catch him. Some of these younger people just seem like they got no respect for authority. A witness told a suspect who allegedly struck an elderly woman near Colony Cottage Recreation Center in the Villages. The witness saw the altercation at about 4:30 p.m. Thursday at County Road 466A and Morris Boulevard and called 911 according to the arrest report. The witness reported seeing a woman strike an elderly woman outside the vehicle. The witness got the license plate number and proceeded to follow the vehicle to County Road 44A and County Road 225, where the driver pulled up to a residence and the two women exited the vehicle. Deputies made contact with 36-year-old Natasha Lynn Brown, who admitted she punched the older woman because she did not like the song that was on the radio. I don't know what to say about that. Brown, who has 2 previous battery convictions, was arrested on a felony charge of battery on a person over the age of 65. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $1,000 bond. Let's read a couple letters to the editor. To the editor. So what are we talking about? Maybe one game a week? Some games are played away for a few hours. Give me a break. Maybe you could go over to the stadium and cheer the team on. That's sent in by Paul Tuttle, the village of Richmond. He's talking about the noise they're complaining about at the new high school. Well, if he thinks the only noise there is just a football game, I know better. It's like every day, every afternoon, band practice. It goes, but hey, you knew it was there when you bought the home. If you bought your home before they built it, when you saw that big empty field out there, you should have asked, what's going to go in there? To the editor, Having been to the villages and having already visited 3 times with the intent of purchasing, I follow the villages probably more than some that live there. I'm replying to the letter to the editor from a resident of the village of Summerhill, defending the noise of pickleball courts, the noise from the new high school football games, etc., as joyous sounds, and those that don't like it should have moved to a more rural space like farm country. I'm sorry, but maybe it's just me. Moving to a retirement community and seeking a little peace and quiet is not asking too much. No, it's not. People seem to lose sight of that. That's why I keep bringing it up. This is a retirement community. I've even heard there's some real estate people out there that'll tell you this technically is not a retirement community. It's always been a retirement community. They call it 55 plus. It's supposed to be age restricted, but they played games with that to the point where I don't know what's going on anymore. I really don't. That's sent in by Brian Madigan, future homeowner in the villages. To the editor, I will never hope for anyone to go to prison, but I think we are all fed up with the double justice system. Too many times recently we have heard that deals are cut because you have the right last name. That's sent in by Lynn Snyder, the village of Tall Trees. I assume she's referring to the villagers Jennifer Parr's son. I think it was her son got arrested for not having a valid driver's license. Basically got a slap on the wrist. I don't know what his past is. I don't want to put judgment on that. If it was his first offense on anything like that, he's got a clean driving record. I think what they did was probably fair. I would expect if I got a clean driving record and I do something stupid, which we all do it a time or two, I think. I would hope that the judge be a little lenient on me if I haven't done anything. Now, if you do something over and over and over, you've seen these people arrested for drunk driving 6, 7, 8 times in 6 years. Those are the ones I need to really get tough on. Okay, I think that's going to be the news for this week. So I do appreciate you guys for subscribing. If you're not subscribing, why not? Become a YouTube member. There's a join button on the homepage. It's right there next to the picture. It says join. You click on that, take you right straight there. Cheapest you can get in there is like 99 cents a month. Everything there is commercial free. Or become a Patreon member. That's really what I prefer. I got my reasons. I'm looking at the future of things, changes I may make. And so Patreon is the way I really want to go. I can't do anything cheaper there than $2 a month. And there is $2 there. And it's available. So join a Patreon, $2 a month, same thing, commercial free. And I can put things on there I can't put on YouTube. And unless you're a member, you don't see it and you're not going to hear it. So go there, join in. And Wednesday will be port setting once again. Port setting is everybody gets together in the chat and they're always in there talking back and forth. A lot of them come will ask me a few questions. A lot of them will come in there just to say hi and bye to some other people that's in the chat that they know is going to be there every Wednesday. It's a fun group. We have a good time there. It's usually lasts about, I'd like to get it cut down to an hour, but I just can't see us doing that right now. So it usually takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to do port setting. So people come in, then they leave, and then they come back, and then they leave. That's where it goes. And then, of course, next Friday will be more news. So if you enjoy it, subscribe, become a member. We'd like to know who you are. So with that being said,
don't leave the keys in the golf cart.